Okay, so good morning, students. Let's start the class. Okay, so we have studied Coulomb's law, and in vector form also we have drawn the direction of the forces. Okay, now next we'll study about superposition principle. So write the next topic, superposition principle. This is chapter 1. Okay, so if there are 2-point charges, they will attract or repel each other depending upon the nature of the charges. But if there are a number of point charges, then every charge will exert a force on a particular charge. So we'll see the direction of all these forces, and the resultant force acting on a particular charge will be equal to the resultant force of all these forces. Suppose there is a Q charge over here, and surrounding this Q charge there are a number of point charges. Let Q1, Q2, Q3 and so on. A number of point charges are surrounding a Q charge. All these charges will exert a force on Q charge. Now the resultant force acting on the Q charge will be equal to the sum of the resultant of all these forces. Let's see. Q1 is exerting a force on Q. Let along this direction F1 force. Q2 is also exerting a force on Q, and we know that the direction of the force is along the line joining the charges. So let this is F2, let this is Q3 charge. Q3 is also exerting a force on Q charge. Let this is F3 force. So what will be the total force acting on Q charge? It will be the resultant of all these forces. And this principle we call it as the superposition principle. So the resultant force acting on Q charge is equal to the vector sum of all these forces, F1 plus F2 plus F3. There can be a number of charges. So this principle is called as superposition principle. So write down the total force acting on a particular charge due to the surrounding point charges is equal to the vector sum of the forces acting on that charge That is, you can write down F vector is equal to F1 vector plus F2 vector and so on. Okay, mathematically, how can you write down the total force? This is acting on the Q charge will be equal to the sum of the resultant forces acting on that charge due to the surrounding charges Q1, Q2, Q3. All these are exerting a force. Okay, now let's find F1 force and we'll substitute it here. F1, F2, F3. We'll find out these forces and substitute it here. Let's come back to the figure. Let this is x-axis, y-axis, and Q charge. Okay, I'm rubbing this Q2 charge. Later on, we'll draw it. Let the position vector of Q charges R vector. What do you mean by position vector? Do you still remember or forgot? What is meant by position? Let the position vector of Q charges R vector. What do you mean by position vector? Yes. Utkarsh. Position of this particular charge, that is how far is it from the origin, what is its direction from the origin. Such a vector we call it as the position vector. So the position vector of q charges, let it is r vector. Let us assume that the position vector of q1 charge is r1 vector. Position vector of q1 charge is r1 vector. Now what is this force F1 equal to? 1 upon 4 pi according to Coulomb's law. Use the Coulomb's law. 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught. Product of the charges. What is the product of the charges? Q into Q1. Q into Q1 upon square of the distance between them. Now what is the distance between Q and Q1? If this is r vector, this is r vector. Use the triangle law of vectors to find this distance between Q and Q1. Try to find out. What is the distance between Q and, because it is the square of the distance between these two charges. So we should know what is the distance between them. If this is r vector, this is r1. Yes.
I'm subtract the vectors.
Yes. How much is it? It will be r minus r1 vector. What will be this distance? R minus r1 vector. R vector minus r1 vector. Use the triangle law of vectors. You will get it. Okay. So the distance between them is r minus r1. Here in the numerator, if we write it as r minus r1 vector, then the denominator, as we discussed yesterday, r minus r1 cube it would be. Is it so? Yesterday we have discussed. No, if we write in the numerator vector, then the denominator will be cube. The same way, now tell me what is F2? 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught. The product of the charges between Q and Q2, Q into Q2 upon, now what will be the distance? R minus R2 whole cube. This vector will be R minus R2 vector. Substitute it here to get the superposition principle. F vector is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught. Let us take this Q outside. Inside the bracket, Q1 upon R minus R1 cube, R minus R1 vector plus Q2 upon R minus R2 cube, R vector minus R2 vector, plus so on, F3, F4. So this principle is called as the superposition principle. So only what you have to understand, if a number of point charges are there near a particular charge, all will exert a force on that particular charge. What will be the resultant force? Vector sum of all these forces. And this principle, we call it as the superposition principle. Is it clear? So superposition principle states that, okay, a number of point charges surrounding a particular charge will exert a force in different directions. So what will be the total force on that particular charge? It will be the vector sum of all these forces. And this principle, we call it as the superposition principle. Okay, F1 vector plus F2 vector plus F3 vector. You can keep on adding. Not written? Okay, next we'll discuss about continuous charge distribution. Okay, till now we were discussing only about point charges. Okay, now if the charge is continuously distributed, it may be continuously distributed along a line, on a surface, or inside a body, that is inside any volume. Then such a distribution, we call it as continuous charge distribution. Written everyone? Okay, then write the next topic. Continuous charge distribution. Okay, till now we were talking only about the point charges. Now continuously this charge is distributed. Continuous charge distribution. Okay, now if the charge is uniformly distributed along a line, such a charge distribution we call it as linear charge distribution. It is called as linear charge distribution. Let positive charges uniformly distributed along a line. So what type of charge distribution we call it as linear charge distribution. So charge distributed uniformly along a line. Line pe distributed linear charge distribution. So write the first one, linear charge distribution. Charge uniformly distributed along a line. Charge uniformly distributed along a line. Write down its linear charge density. Its linear charge density. Its linear charge density is given by. Its linear charge density is given by. Okay, let us consider a small length dl. Suppose in this dl length, how much charge is there? dq charge. मान ले, because this may be infinitely long. So let us consider a small length on this line dl. Let its length is dl. And let us assume that how much charge is distributed on this dl length? dq, small charge. So dq charge on dl length. So linear charge density will be given by charge per unit length. Charge per unit length will be called as linear charge density. So whenever the charge is uniformly distributed along a line, then we find its linear charge density, which is charge per unit length. What will be its unit? Coulomb per meter.
Per meter.
Yes, good. Coulomb per meter. The second one is surface charge distribution. Now, if the charge is uniformly distributed on a surface, that is like on a thin sheet, then it is called as surface charge distribution. Charge is uniformly distributed on a surface. Let this is some metallic surface on which some positive charges uniformly distributed on it. So this we call it as the surface charge distribution. Charge uniformly distributed on a surface is called as surface charge distribution. Okay, charge uniformly distributed on a surface. Charge uniformly distributed on a surface. And its surface charge density is given by. And its surface charge density is given by. Its surface charge density is given by. Okay, let us consider a small area on this surface. It may be infinite long surface, so a small surface we consider. Let its area is ds, small surface area, ds मान ले, da मान ले, कुछ भी मान ले, small surface area ds. And in this small surface area, let the charge is dq. So the surface charge density will be given by charge per unit surface area, dq upon ds. Charge per unit surface area is the surface charge density. So whenever the charge is uniformly distributed on a surface, we calculate its surface charge density, which is given by charge per unit surface area. What will be its unit? Unit of sigma Coulomb per meter square. Its area. What is the unit of area? Meter square. So its unit is coulomb per meter square. This one is called as lambda. This is called as sigma. All this Greek like we have A, B, C, D. There they have alpha, beta, gamma, omega, and all this. This is called as surface sigma, and the surface charge density will be given by charge per unit surface area. Now, if the charge is uniformly distributed inside a volume, then it is called as volume charge distribution. Volume charge distribution. If the charge is uniformly distributed inside a volume, like inside a sphere, inside a cuboid, inside a cube, or inside any irregular shaped some closed body. Okay, so charge uniformly distributed inside a volume. Charge uniformly distributed inside a volume is called as volume charge density. For example, let us consider this cube. Okay, charges inside this cube. So we consider a small volume dV. Okay, we consider a small volume inside. Let its volume is dV, small volume dV. So here we calculate volume charge density, rho. This is the symbol rho. Volume charge density is given by charge per unit volume. Let in small volume dV, small charge dq is there. So charge per unit volume is called as volume charge density, and its unit will be coulomb per meter cube. And its unit is coulomb per meter cube. So charge uniformly distributed along the line, linear charge distribution, and we calculate its linear charge density denoted by lambda, charge per unit length. Charge uniformly distributed on a surface called as surface charge distribution. Okay, and we calculate the surface charge density, which is given by sigma, equals to charge per unit surface area. Volume charge distribution, charge uniformly distributed inside a volume. Okay, and we calculate volume charge density, charge per unit volume, and its unit will be coulomb per meter cube. Is it clear? Okay, now the next topic is electric field. Okay, as the name itself is suggesting field, it means it is some region of space. Region of space near a point charge in which its electrostatic force can be experienced. So for a particular charge, there will be some region of space around it in which its electrostatic force can be experienced. This region of space around the point charge is called as the electric field. So what is electric field? It's the region of space around the point charge in which electrostatic force can be experienced. So write down the space around the point charge, the space around the point charge in which its electrostatic force can be experienced. Write down mathematically it is electrostatic force per unit test charge, TEST, per unit test charge, electrostatic force per unit test charge. Okay, electrostatic, as you have written, electrostatic force per unit test charge. Test charge will denoted by Q naught. And what is this? In the limit Q naught is tending towards 0. Limit Q naught tending to 0 is the test charge. So electrostatic force per unit test charge is called as the electric field. Now why we take it as test charge? Suppose we are finding out the electric field of Q charge. In order to experience that, in how much region the electrostatic force can be experienced. If we bring another charge, suppose Q1, this charge is also having some electric field. So what will happen? Its electric field will be intercepted by this electric field of this charge. So which charge has to be brought? An infinite small charge. This infinite small charge, that is limit Q naught is tending to 0, which we call it as test charge. So an infinite small charge is brought close to this Q charge in order to test the electric field of this particular charge. So that is why this is called as the test charge. So electrostatic force per unit test charge, we call it as the electric field. Okay, now it is a vector quantity. So here you will put the arrow. Direction will be along the direction of the electrostatic force. So write down vector quantity. E is electric field is vector quantity. Vector quantity having a direction along the direction of electrostatic force. Unit is SI unit, Newton per coulomb. Can you find its dimension? Dimensional formula. न्यूटन फोर्स का होता है mlt minus 2 upon charge. Charge can be written as I go back to the first chapter of 11. Ampere into time. Current into time is the charge. Okay, and current ka dimension A into T. A or I, anything you can write down. So it is equal to M L raised to the power 1, T raised to the power minus 2, minus 1. That is T raised to the power minus 3, A raised to the power minus 1 is its dimensional formula. Okay, now let's find out the electric field due to a point charge. Okay, there is only one point charge, isolated point charge. Isolated means a single positive or a single negative charge. Okay, it is isolated from all other charges. So such a charge, we call it as an isolated charge. So due to that particular point charge, let's find out the electric field. So electric field due to a point charge. Okay, let there is a charge plus Q at the origin, x-axis, y-axis. So this is the origin. And you have to find out the electric field at a point P. Due to this point charge, you have to find out the electric field at a point P. This charge is at a distance r from the point P, that is OP distance is r. Okay, so we bring a test charge Q naught close to it to find out the electric field, and this electric field will be equal to electrostatic force per unit test charge. So we have brought Q naught charge at this point P to find out the electric field of this point. And we know that electric field is force per unit test charge. What is the force between Q and Q naught? According to Coulomb's law, 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q into Q naught upon R square upon Q naught. This cancels out. So what is the electric field? Due to a point charge at R distance, Q upon R square. So the electric field due to a point charge is K Q by R square. Okay, force per unit test charge. So we have brought a Q naught charge here. They too will experience a force. How much force? According to Coulomb's law, K Q1 Q2 upon R square, K Q into Q naught upon R square divided by Q naught. Q naught cancels out. So due to a point charge, the electric field is given by 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R square. Now let's write it in the vector form. E vector, because electric field is a vector quantity, and whenever you represent any vector quantity, write it in the vector form. This much is the magnitude. Now what will be the direction? Only a unit vector you have to put here. Let r cap is a unit vector which is showing the direction of OP. So what can you write down? R unit vector. And we also know that R unit vector is vector divided by its magnitude. So it can also be written in this form. 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R cube into R vector. So electric field due to a point charge, due to a single point charge is given by 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R square. R unit vector is along OP vector. So R unit vector is along OP vector. Okay, now we'll continue on the next turn, that is tomorrow. Yes, these students don't leave the class. Let me take your attendance first. So don't leave.